getting lost. There's a lot of maps and signs telling you which way to go, and they're pretty complete as far as telling you exactly where to go without getting lost. That's a nice old bridge going across the creek here. I was saying there's a lot of road signs, so you shouldn't get lost kind of this way, that way, and every other way, but you know what? It tells you exactly where you need to be and how to get there.
And we stick with corn because you have to take the machine apart and clean it, clean all the individual stones and parts if you're going to switch. So we stick to corn. This is all water power. I'm going to turn this wheel. That's going to open up our sluice gate. Our water wheel is going to start turning. That'll get us started. It's going to be pretty noisy when it starts up at first. Now we have two stones inside of here. We have the bed stone, which is stationary. We have the runner stone, which is actually spinning. Both of those stones have grooves on them, which are going to catch all that corn. That's going to grind it into our grist. So out here is the grist. That's what we call the grist mill. That grist is falling on our screen. It's getting separated into the good cornmeal, which we can bag up and sell, and the shells of those kernels, which we don't want.
And that's what makes cornbread, right?
Exactly.
All right.
Yep, that cornmeal is going to be sold at the general store. You can make things cornbread, corn muffins, cornmeal, something like that.
Okay.
But we have electricity now, it just makes it easier. Yeah, in fact, we have air conditioning.
Whatever you prefer.
What?
Surprise us.
Surprise us, okay. Well, I have a lot of choices in here.
Excuse the interruption. Would Marcia Fisher please?
Maybe 40 turns, I don't know. I haven't done it for a while with them. And as
The one with the camera, yes. The one with the camera, yes. The lady that's over the village?
Yeah.
And, okay.
Buckets, butter churns, wash tubs, canteens. We make anything that a settler needed to hold supplies of any kind. Cooper's the guy that would make it for him. So, and Steve here right now is working on staves. Those are the side pieces to the bucket. And he's trying to make the wood fit the side. That's a ring for a full-size bucket.
Okay.
So he's making that wood fit that ring. And so he'll know where he has a high spot or a low spot, and then he'll have to go back and have to shave a little more. He asked me a little bit ago, how much time should it take to make a stave? In his case, a long time.
It takes me a long time.
But when he gets better at it, I can usually make a stave in about a minute. But I've made thousands and thousands of them, so it doesn't take me long. But it'll take him a while. This is only his second day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm just getting started.
Was that on your bucket list?
Yeah.
Let's go check that out. This is the tin shop. Pretty neat. We gotta edit that, right?
Love the Pioneer egg basket. And the reason for the pouches, the eggs didn't crack and break so easy. Do any of you have chickens? Do you have a basket like this? No. She does. Well, we probably have some in our front museum store. So make sure to check that out. You're now going for potatoes and carrots for supper stew. So when this got heavy, you're gonna balance this on your hip. You're gonna have a free arm for the baby. Since you have chickens, are you saving your feathers? Well, the pioneers would have saved feathers. The lid's attached, the feathers wouldn't blow away. What are you gonna be making that's nice and soft with feathers?
Feather mattress?
Yes, the mattresses, the pillows, maybe your quilt. So now we're gonna move our hen. We're gonna put some straw in there and her eggs, and then she'll sit. It's your wedding day. Congratulations. You are receiving a food source to start your homestead. You raise your chicken and eggs, you eat your chicken and eggs, you then trade with chicken and eggs. You're going to trade for the things that you can't grow or raise yourself on your farm. So things like sugar, salt, coffee, tea, baking soda, baking powder, and then you would trade with the doctor or the blacksmith.
Wow.
Number 1, too labor intensive. Number 2, that emerald ash borer bug got to most of the trees. But what we use today is, it's called rattan palm, and this grows vine-like in the jungles of Indonesia, and it comes rolled up ready to go in lots of different sizes. So there are 4 of us ladies that weave here, so you can see our product up front in our museum store with all the other craft items that are for sale.
Ooh.
Do you have any questions about anything?
Around here, we don't really use electricity here, right? Well, how we do things around here, we use manpower, good old-fashioned manpower. This wasn't just a workshop, it was also a gym. So, saving money on the electric bill and the gym membership. It's really working out here. This right here is going to be a lathe. You can see a lot of versions of this around today, usually with a motor right here by me. But I can actually make this work. So, it's something called a treadle, since we don't have electricity, and it's mostly in the spinning wheel. I'll show you how it works real quick. Spin this a little bit. To actively step on it, I have to constantly be stepping to actually get the turn, so I can actually cut the wood itself. Now, I like this more than electrical versions because this, well, it takes more skill. Because with electrical versions, you have to be constantly paying attention to your hands and the actual preciseness of the actual blade itself. But, well, with this, you have to focus on your feet as well. And even switching it in the middle of working on a piece of wood. Now, we have multiple versions of a lathe today. We have this one. We have this tiny one, which I love, because it looks just like a spinning wheel, and I only have to use my heel to make it run. And then we have a big one in the back. It looks impressive, but it doesn't work, sadly. Now, without treadles, we have some normal pedals here, including this one right here. This is called a mortising machine. Okay? I can step on the single pedal, and actually cut into the wood itself, like so. Now, the reason this is so important for woodworking is because it allows us to make a kind of joint, a mortise and tenon joint. We have the mortise right here, and then we have the actual tenon itself. Now, the reason joints are so important is because without joints, our furniture and our tools will fall apart. And that's not very good now, is it? So, we can make a almost airtight joint with some gaps in between for our rendered animal fat as glue, and make a nice tight joint. Now,
So they had glue back there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So they would glue would either be from, as I said, rendered animal fat. Some people have gone to me and say animal feet, but mostly be like the keratin from hooves and stuff like that, or even just some hide fat and hide glue. Now, I'm talking a lot. Sorry, I'm very hot today. Now, without single pedals, we also have some double pedals. That right there is called a shaper, more commonly known as a router. Sadly, it doesn't really work because of how dull the blade is, but it is impressive to look at, and is another example of a double pedal machine. This right here, I can actually use, and I've actively used it here in the shop before. This is called a jigsaw. You guys have built jigsaw puzzles before, correct? Well, with that, with a jigsaw puzzle, that's why they're called that, they can actually be turned while I cut. Meaning I can make curved cuts. Now, you can see, here's cardio I'm using, and I work on it like a bike. And I like these more than electrical versions, because with this, it isn't moving as fast, meaning you don't wear the blade down as much. One of the master woodworkers here, including the one that taught me, has even told me that he's worked for 7 years, never had to replace his blade once. Which is, now, it's kind of hard to stop, but... any questions so far, guys?
No?
No. We can just use power tools, of course. We also use some manual tools. You guys can see on the back wall here. Now, we get anything from knives to chisels to hammers to saws and even mallets, including this big old mallet here for furniture, etc. Now, we have a lot of different manual tools here, including some of my favorite, called the plane, and no, it doesn't fly. Now, it's very simple, even though it looks kind of complicated. I would take out this piece of wood, and I can move the blade to whatever depth I want it. We're going to bring it all the way in, so I don't cut anything right now. Place this piece of wood in to lock it in place. I can grab it, and normally I would do this on the desk, but I just want to show you guys that with this, I can actually cut the wood itself. This is important because this tool did something that not all of these tools would do. Most of these tools are meant to shape, to dent, to almost destroy the wood to make something else and leave it rough, which is why we always have like sandpaper. But this is meant to smooth out the wood. And as you guys can see, it is flat, which is very important for desks.
This is where it all started. Glass works.
No, that's straight from the sheep, and we wash it.
Wash.
Mm-hmm. And then, after it's dry, we card it.
Mm-hmm.
And this was usually a job for the little kids.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't get them to do that today, could ya?
Probably not. But could you get any of them to do any of these things? The problem is, I think we're spoiled.
I know we are.
What the carding does is it separates those fibers.
Always nice to remember how thick you made the bottom when you're trimming it. Mm-hmm. Nice if you don't go through.
Do you sign them or?
Well, people like to know who to blame. Yep, so I got to put my name on the bottom.
That's good.
We're on the pottery store.
No, I've always wanted to sculpt in porcelain clay. Figurines and stuff.
There's a lot of ways of working on that box. So, yeah, right now I'm working on finishing up the bottoms of some plates that I started the other day, and I have to go back, work back up.
Do you let those down or?
Yeah, they work.
Wow, that's a lot.
The clay that I use is handling the piece before it goes into the firing. But sure, I mean, granted, you could really, I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, you could really mess up a firing, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
But you try to learn how not to do that, you know. So.
Yeah, I always have to learn the hard way.
Time for a new broom? Come on in.
Oh, yeah, nice and cool. Good for you.
Right now. So then when I get done stitching, it'll give it a haircut and it'll be ready to move on to the next phase. It's going to end up with the braiding like what you see on that decorative one there, with the weaving in and out of the reeds from the stalk.
How long does it take you to make one broom?
Regular broom takes about an hour and a half.
Oh, really?
The braiding though, it takes a little bit longer because that's about a half hour on its own. So a braided regular broom will be about 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Tom, there's a witch's broom. That's a
I've got 2 chicken combos.
Old-fashioned soda. There's a livery stable. Flipping the livery stable to a modern gas station and garage. Standard Oil. The 1920s downtown. Let's go check and see what the price is for the gallon of gas. Well, it looks a lot different than what it is today. Outside the Farm Bureau office. And the clothing store. Don't forget the groceries. 1921 theater. Welcome to the 1920s. What's playing tonight? Candy store. Delivery truck. Barbershop. And the train.